Hello,
Hello.
Stella Andrews, and Susan asked us, my buddy here, who's known as Stella's friend, it's really Doris Connors from Boston, Massachusetts, and she asked us just to do a little background of how we came here and what we like about it and how come we're still surviving because of Alfred's food. But here we are and loving it very much. And we'll just tell a little background on how we got here. And why are we still here, that they haven't thrown us out? I don't know. But we'll start with Doris. She will tell you how we met and how she stuck by me all these years. Doris Connors, Stella's friend, best friend.
Yes. I came here with my husband alone, and he had Alzheimer's. And the doctor told me I had to find a place for him. I couldn't do it alone anymore. And so I tried, and with a lot of difficulty, and he finally said that he had heard a place up here that was very good. And so he gave me a brochure, and I called and I talked, and I was looking for a place for him to go. And, but I talked with Michelle on the phone, and I told her what I needed and so forth. And when we were talking, she said, well, you and he will do this, and he and you will do that. And I said, no, wait a minute, I'm not sick. I said, my husband has Alzheimer's, and I'm taking care of him. And the doctor said I can't do it alone anymore. So I need a place for him. And she said, well, I think it might be better if you came up and looked here, because we don't take patients, we take people.
Very different
couples.
Back then.
It's a whole different concept. And I said, well, I'll get in touch with you. And then I saw an ad, either in a magazine or on television or something, for this place. And I emailed to get information. And
Michelle. Michelle's never going to forgive you.
I have a terrible memory. And so Michelle, who was a doll.
The lady with the hairdo.
Yes. She called me on the phone and said, Mrs. Connors, has your situation changed? And I realized that this was the woman I talked with before. And I told her, well, yes, the doctor recommended your place to me and so forth. And she said, I think it would be a wonderful idea if you just came up and had lunch with us and looked at the place. And I asked her where it was, and she told me. And I got a friend to come with me. And I told my husband I was going with her to visit a friend. And we came up here. And I can remember driving up this road.
Because you came from the villages.
I came from the
One of the
villages.
village people.
Yes, we were the village. But this was, what, 10, 20 years ago. Yeah.
10 years ago. It
10
just
years I came
seems
here.
like 20 years
But I
ago.
had been there.
There at 18 years.
18 years. So, and I was the first one to own a,
and that,
it was small then.
can you imagine?
It blew up.
Yeah.
I couldn't possibly live there now. Even 10 years later, I couldn't live there, but I was one of the first ones that I had to sleep at my sister's house because she wouldn't let me sleep alone in my new house.
But you were alone.
Because there were workmen all around. So I had to wait until I had some neighbors. That's how new I was.
You always had problems with men around. What can I tell you? Hi, buddy. But
so where was I? So I came up, and Michelle, of course, was a doll, and she started at the beginning, and I saw everything. And I would walk in, and the kitchen would be dark, and I'd think, well, you can put up with that, and it's awfully small, and well, you can put up with that, you know.
Yeah.
and we went to each individual place, well, the ones that were available and so forth. And then we got to the end, and she said, how about, she said, this is the 5-story, and this has apartments. And I said, ooh, I've never lived in an apartment, but I suppose I'm here, I might as well look. So she said, fine. So we started looking at apartments. And I don't think I looked at too many. There probably weren't too many on the first floor available. Mm-hmm. That's probably what happened.
A lot of people prefer
because I think we started on the 2nd floor, and I didn't want the 1st floor because I didn't want headlights coming into my house. So we started up here, and Stella's apartment at that time was not, no one was living there. So that was the first one they showed me. And whoo, I couldn't get over how big it was. And
but Stella was a big woman at that time.
Yeah, but you weren't there.
That's right. They opened the doors.
So anyway, we came down, and I walked into this one. And this house, believe it or not, this apartment is the same exact setup as the house I had in the Villages. Exactly. Even the kitchen looked into, well, it looked into the dining room, not the living room. But my husband's chair, this is the way I had my living room set up. 2 couches, TV, his chair, my chair. And I could be in the kitchen working and see him. And I just flipped. And it was huge. And I called it an igloo because it was all white. But I just fell in, and I turned to my friend and I said, the armoire will go there, the couch is here, ours, the dining room set, perfect. And she said, Doris, you're putting your furniture in it. I said, this is it. This is what I need. Oh, I was so excited and nervous. So that's how it started. And I eventually, then I had to sell my house. And they found some realtors for me that they highly recommended. And they said that they would help me sell my house. And they came, and well, it was a little while after that. I didn't tell them right away I was going to buy it and so forth. But I knew this is what I wanted. And I said, I'll get back to you. But anyway, I'm losing my train of thought. I decided I was going to get it. So they said they would help me sell my house. So I started packing, and I had boxes everywhere. And they called and they told me they wanted to come and take pictures of my apartment. And I said, oh, you can't, I have boxes. They said, don't worry, we will fix it. And they came and they would hide the boxes behind the bed, and they took their pictures and everything.
You should have made them unpack.
And they put a sign out front. And of course I had to explain to them that Eddie he couldn't tolerate people coming in and out of the house.
People, yeah.
So they actually scheduled, they would call me. They would say, we will be there in 20 minutes, give us a half hour, and you may come back. So I would take him down to Dunkin' Donuts, and I would get him iced coffee and a donut, and we would sit out in front and enjoy all the people. And then I didn't have a cell phone, and they couldn't signal me, but I just watched, and we would go back in about a half hour, and they had come and gone. And that's how we handled that. And he didn't even know I was selling the house. So I did sell my house, and I bought this place, and I have never regretted it for a second. Yeah. And now I came here. I had to be with him every minute. I couldn't leave him alone. So I was here, just like we are now, where they don't want us to go out, I'm used to that. But anyway, I was with Edward, and we walked, and we walked, and we walked. And then I had a golf cart, and I had a belt put in it so he wouldn't fall out. And I'd take him over and we'd try to pitch and putt. And then my sister came to visit me from Hawaii, and she said, "You need a rest. I'm going to take him out for a walk." And she did, and she said, "Does he have a bathing suit?" And I said, "Yeah." She took him over to the
the
pool.
The old pool, not what we have
No.
today.
But I would, in a million years, I wouldn't have attempted that. And she came back and she said, "You've got to do this." He was wonderful. He walked in the water. And she said, "That's good for him." And I said, "But how did he get in?" And she said, "They have stairs and they have things." I said, okay. So I thought, I have to try this. So I had a long white terry cloth robe because they had pools at the villages. And I got one for him at the villages. So we were going to go to the village. I decided I would try it. So I put him in the bathing suit when we went over, and the two of us walk in with long white robes on. We probably look like monks. I don't know. But anyway, I went over and they had this thing they'd made with and you put it on. It was like a jacket, and I put that on him so they couldn't.
Oh,
They made them out of those things that float,
like a life
floaties.
preserver?
It was that's what it was. It was a jacket, but they made him out of those. I put that on him, and I got him down the stairs. And Richard, the man that made the golf course, I can't remember his last name, but he saw us coming in, and he knew me. He had met me before, and so he ran over and helped me get Eddie in the water. And he walked around that water for 1 hour.
Wow.
And
Good
he
exercise.
was fine. And I thought, I cannot believe this. And it was good exercise for him.
Make him sleep well.
So then I said, well, it's time to go home for lunch. And I took him home in the golf cart, and I took him up. It was marvelous. But, you know, I'm going to skip ahead a year and a half, really.
Thank you.
Because that was my life, you know,
Yes.
other than Eleanor Frank. I think.
Yeah.
Yes. She used to see me walking back. I was driving back and forth in our cart to get our dinner. And one day I saw her walking, and I said, you know, you live near me. Couldn't I give you a ride? Well, Eleanor doesn't ride. Eleanor walks constantly. That's why she's in such good shape. And I told her that. And I came home and I said to my husband, I'm a wimp. And he, of course, said he wouldn't understand that. But I said, there was a woman older than me, and she walks down and back every day to get her meals. And I'm driving a golf cart. I said, from now on, I'm walking. So I started walking, and Eleanor saw me and joined me, and we became very good friends. We were walking friends because as soon as I got home, he'd be at the door, and I had to go in.
Oh, wow.
And so that was my life. And I had a cleaning lady who was marvelous. Her name was Barbara, and she was funny, and she talked incessantly the way I do. And so we got along fine. And so then then Edward passed away, unfortunately. But he was home with me, which is what I wanted. I had 2 bedrooms. I had a hospital bed in here for him in the den, which is now my den, and my bedroom. And I had hospice came. I called them to help me because I was just it was
Exhausted.
too much for me. And the man next door told me that they would help me. And so I called, and they came to see what they could do. And they took me aside, and they said, Mrs. Connors, your husband is very close to the end, closer than you realize. And I said, really? And they said, yes, we're talking about days. And I was shocked. And she said, we're going to take over this afternoon. And they brought in a new bed because he had a sore. It was an air mattress or something. I recommend them. Oh my God, they saved my life. They came in and they took over. He was never alone. I'll do another one about them later, okay? But I just want you to know that Edward lived for 1.5 years, and he passed away, and I was with him, which was that's what he wanted. The only thing he ever said to me was, please don't send me away. And I said, I will be with you. I will always be with you. And I was. And so when he died, I didn't even cry. I had been praying for God to take him because he'd suffered enough. And so, and believe it or not, we had done we made arrangements for our ending a long time ago, several years ago. And we prepaid it, and we picked out what we wanted, and so on and so forth. This was over in the Villages. When we came here, the same company was right up the road here. And so they picked up the phone and called them, and they came and they took care of Edward. So now I was alone. And there was no way I was going to go down into that dining room by myself. I talk a lot, but I'm very shy. I couldn't do it.
She talks to herself. She has good answers.
So anyway, that's what I was doing. And of course,
but you were lonesome, nevertheless.
Well,
yes.
He had just died 2 weeks ago, I think. And I was coming up in the
You didn't know anybody because you
didn't know anyone, no, except Eleanor. And Eleanor was very involved. Yeah. She worked everything, you know, and she tried to get me involved in a lot of things. But
you weren't ready.
I wasn't ready was the good answer. And but so this day I'm coming up in the elevator and
Stella and
Stella, my friend Stella and her husband John were in the elevator. And by the time we got to the second floor, she knew what color toothbrush I used.
Yes, I said talk fast.
She's asking, where did you come from? And do you have a husband? And I said, well, I lost my husband.
You know, actually, Doris, we were downstairs and we were going to dinner and we invited you to join us at the table. No? Okay.
No.
Okay. Go ahead. Go on with your story. Excuse me.
No, because
I've been drinking.
When I said my husband died 2 weeks ago, and you said, oh, I'm so sorry. Well, you're all alone. And I said, yes, and something to this effect. And so we walked down and around the corner, and when we got in front of my house, she said something to me, and I wish I knew what it was now. Probably your remark about...
Who knows? The underwear? Who knows?
No, it wasn't the underwear, no.
That hadn't started yet.
Anyhow, I came in the house and I closed the door. Oh, and she said, you don't have to walk in. That was it. You said you don't have to walk into that dining room alone because we're adopting you.
Yeah.
And you're coming with us. And I said, oh, I couldn't do that. And I don't know what you said, but I burst out laughing. And I walked in the house and I'm walking down the hall here and I have a long hall. And I stopped. And I thought, I'm laughing. I couldn't remember when I had laughed. And I thought, oh my God, I know someone.
Right.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
And we started going
to eat
together. And they would always stop and pick me up on the way. And how many years did we do that? 8 years?
Yes. And from then on, I'll take over now because we had a table in the very back and a table of 6. And who joined us, I don't know if you knew, the Butels, Nancy and Johnny Butel. He was a piece of work. You think I'm bad? Johnny was worse. You never knew what was going to come out of his mouth. And this Nancy's always, oh, Johnny, stop that. That's not nice. But in any event, we had a nice table. Doris, my husband John, myself, the Butels, and then Everett Clark, who had lost his wife, he was sitting alone one day, and Doris invited him, because he used to be her neighbor when his wife had Alzheimer's. They lived right next door.
Everett was the one that told me to call hospice.
Yeah,
help
because
me.
his wife had it, yeah. Nice gentleman, very nice. And being from New England, they kind of hit it off. So they joined us. That table was the rowdiest, except for John Andrews.
No.
He was a Marine who was very professional.
Oh, but he.
And besides, he couldn't hear. That's why I could talk the way I could talk. But poor guy. Anyhow.
But he also was very funny. He had a very dry
he had
sense
a very
of
dry
humor.
sense of
He'd just say one line.
Yeah,
That's
right.
all he needed.
Yeah. And he'd observe. He had a cochlea implant. So he had to really strain to hear. Luckily, Johnny sat next to him, but the things that came out of Johnny's mouth, he kind of let go over his head. But they were a wonderful couple. We were so
They were
sad.
fun, yes.
Very, yeah.
Shocking sometimes.
Well, Nancy was always shushing him. Killjoy. But other than that, yeah, we had a very fun table. And it was a few years. In fact, the Butels moved the same day that we were here. So right from the beginning.
Right, they started out with you.
Yes. And it was we had a very delightful time. And I always feel when I see a couple sitting alone, you can tell they're new. They're shy, sort of. I try to make it a point to go over and introduce myself, and I try to watch what I say. I really do. But in any event, no, I enjoy people. I'm a people person, I must admit. Whether you like it or not, I might sit down at your table and just start talking. Glass of wine, that's even better. But in any event, so Doris and I have been friends for 8 years, because we've been here 8 years, myself now. And I just live a few doors down. But the highlight we had after we had met was we have a neighbor in between. She's in 207, I'm in 211, and we have this delightful neighbor who's an artist, Jins McCurdy.
Oh, you've seen
And
her.
she lives in 209.
Beautiful.
And where she lives, her apartment is an alcove, and we would have happy hour there. Jins has a delightful daughter who has a condo up in Massachusetts. And of course, I have a son who was living in Maine at the time until he retired from the state. And they both happened to come down at Christmas. And in the meantime, Doris's son and his partner had giving her a Christmas party. And that was the second year we were here. He realized she had had no fun all these years.
And I didn't know too many people.
No, it was delightful. So she invited all her neighbors and friends. And that's where my son met Jins's daughter. And they've been sort of together. I mean, he lives in Ocala now, and she stays with her mom as a caregiver. She has an apartment still up in New England. Delightful, delightful gal. I wish she'd come and clean for me. Her mom's house is spotless.
Oh.
She's always cleaning.
She can do anything
Yes,
for
she
me.
can. Yes, she buys us wine. What more do you want from her?
She is, I told her this, I said, I've never met anyone who is faultless. I mean,
yeah,
100%
she's gorgeous, too.
faultless and gorgeous. And I said, that someone is you. If I
Her
could
gay
have,
son wanted to go with her. What can I tell you? That's
Yes,
the highlight.
I try to make Jeff. He said, it doesn't work that way, Mom.
He's such a nice guy. I was going to give him my son.
Now, the other thing that's funny is another son of mine,
Mark,
the youngest son of
yeah,
mine,
he's cute
he's
too.
a year younger than Jeff. He came and he was married. And when he met Darcy, when she left the house, he said, she is the most gorgeous thing I've ever laid eyes on.
Have you ever seen her? Oh. Exercise nut, health nut. Oh, my son's the same thing, yeah.
And I have to put this in, and he was raving about her, you know. And I said, well, I think she's a little old for you, Mark. And he said, old? Ma, she can't be a day over, what did he say?
Not too
32.
Oh,
35, yeah.
You sure he wasn't talking about me?
He wasn't talking about you. He said, she can't be a day over 35.
Wow.
And I said, I know she is. I don't know how old she is, but she's older than you, I think. I don't believe it. He said she looks like an Olympic champion, for God's sake. Did you see the muscles
Not
in her?
an ounce of fat.
And so I called Stella on the phone, and I said, are you alone? And she said, well, Gunnar is here.
I get suspicious when she asks me that question.
She said, well, Gunnar is here. And of course, Mark was here. And I said, can you, I don't know how I put it, without his knowing it, his knowing why, can you tell me how old Darcy is? Well, she had her phone on speakerphone.
Yeah, so I can
He
hear.
heard me. And he said she'll be, I can't even remember now.
Well,
what
if it was
would
8
have been.
years ago, she was in her 50s.
Yeah. And so he said she'll be 51 on her next birthday, or whatever he said. And Mark heard him. And I said, thank you very much. And I hung up the phone. And I looked at him. He said, I don't believe it. Now, you can go on with your story, but I had to tell that story about her. And she's so good to both of us.
Yes.
She's good to everybody.
Yes.
She's,
Anything you need, absolutely, yes. I keep telling my son, marry her. They never listen to their mothers. The older they get, the worse they get.
why? Are they going to have a baby or something?
Oh,
Come
God.
on.
That would be a miracle, yes.
They don't have to get married.
That's very true.
They
And I'm
enjoy
sure her
each-
mother wouldn't mind either. Jiz is a wonderful person. She's getting on in years, and she's kind of getting frail, but she's a wonderful person. And I get the biggest bang out of Darcy. I think she goes to sleep with that mask on. She will come to the door with the mask on. I said, for Pete's sake, who do you think you're going to meet? How, the boogeyman with germs? I said, I'm out here. You're in there. What are you wearing a mask? I'm not wearing a mask.
She's never without it.
I know.
But she's taking care of her
Her
mother,
mom. She's
who's
more concerned
95
about her
years
mom.
old.
Yeah.
And if anything happened to her mother,
The corona would be
or
horrible.
if it
Yeah.
happened to Darcy, if they got sick. So she
Yeah.
is very, very, very careful. And I salute her
Yeah.
because...
But they don't care about us. We don't go with masks.
Well, I wear one with her.
I'm
I
too
do.
healthy.
She called me today because she wanted to give me a couple of books that
Oh,
Jins was through with.
she's an avid
And I
reader.
put on a mask to answer the door because I respect her fear. I don't think she's worried about herself as well. She is, because her mother needs her. And of course she doesn't want to give it to her mother. So
I
anyway.
used to be that way. Instead of a mask with a bra, I had to make sure I had a bra on before I went to the door. Not anymore. I'm sorry. I'm from New York. What do you want?
I interrupted you and I promised you I
What
would.
was I saying?
All right.
Okay. I had
All right.
Uh,
You were talking
So anyhow,
about
yes,
Gunnar
when
and
we first came here and we would meet at the Alco, we'd have a nice happy hour. And I know there was some people on the 4th floor that kept walking around and looking down and hoping we'd invite them, but there was no more room. What can I tell you? But in any event, it was good.
And
to,
we all brought our own drink. You know,
Oh,
we
absolutely.
went out and
Yeah.
we just had an
It
hour
was nice.
together.
And we try to keep the noise down.
Yeah, but we did get complaints, remember?
I know, but
But we laughed a lot.
those people are gone. They're gone.
It was a different way of life.
Yeah,
It
it
really
was
was.
really
And now,
pleasant.
of course, with this virus, you can't do anything like that. But we had fun.
But we still get together on occasion
Yeah.
because, and living here with the terrace, to me, is perfect. We can go out on our terrace, we can sunbathe, you can sit out there nude. I live in the end, nobody's, I've got a brick wall, I've got that big lawn.
Now, did all you guys hear this?
Oh, yeah, right. That's what they want to see. But in any event, hello. Who's
Gotcha.
that? What are those wrinkles? Where are they coming from?
Gotcha.
Starch, lady, starch. But in any event, no, I still love it here. After 8 years, my husband passed away 3 years ago. God bless him. He enjoyed the 5 years he was here, and it was the best place. We came here in perfect health, both of us, and we had applied for we were going to live in the original towers. That's what we signed up for. We were the first founders, I think they call it, the founders, whatever. And then Ron, who was in marketing at that time, said, why don't you rent here and get under the umbrella, so to speak? And we thought, well, okay. And we looked around, same thing. I did not want to live on the ground floor. I was thinking of bugs coming in. And Peeping Toms, oh God, Peeping Toms. They would look after John, not me. I wasn't concerned. It was John. He was so good looking. And anyhow, same thing. My apartment, when I walked in, when it's empty, it's even larger, of course, and it's still a wonderful. I love my apartment. Just the right size kitchen.
It's the same as this one.
It's the same, and I don't need the walker. I can just hold on. And anyhow, so we were here very comfortably, and great neighbors. Until Richard Zink moved in, but we love Richard Zink. Yes, we never see him. He's Air Force. What can I tell you? But other than that,
Oh, what a horrible thing to say.
oh, he knows. If they don't know, I'm kidding by now.
Oh,
That's
well, they
tough.
know you're kidding, but
Not nice to say while it's no. He's a fly boy. But my best
oh, but
buddy.
if you're not a Marine in her,
No.
you're a fairy.
Who was that? Angelo at one of the at one of the my what?
Thank God my boys were never in the service. She wouldn't talk to me if they were.
Anyhow, no, I love being a Marine. I'm very proud of having been a Marine. I wouldn't have met John if I wasn't in the Marine Corps. Of course, our son was in the Marines too. Our son by the name, his name is Gunner, but that's a nickname because he was born on the Marine Corps birthday, which is very big in the Marine Corps. His sister a year before was born on the Marine Corps birthday. Yeah, it wasn't planned, we were just having fun. This happened. But in any event, when he was born at 10.5 pounds, 23.5 inches long, he was not a John, which I named him, so he was a Gunner. And it's a very military term, Gunner, and it stuck with it. And I think he's proud of that.
Yes, he uses it.
Yeah, he does. But in any event, I love it here. It's the best place to be a woman that's single. At this time in my life, I have and the staff is terrific.
Oh.
We love Susan. It makes me look good. I suppose I'm going to look 20 years younger.
Got it.
And the ones that get our groceries.
Oh, there isn't anyone here.
No.
It is, I mean, even I have 3 boys and they worry constantly about me and they call me and everything. And when I told them, everybody here was tested and no one had the coronavirus. And
Yeah,
they said,
amazing.
wow, Mom,
Well,
you
you
are
know
so
why,
lucky.
don't you? Hello.
But they
But
said
it is
it's
us.
obvious you're being well taken care of and it makes
Yes.
them happy.
Yeah.
And they can't believe it because in other parts of the country, this sort of place was the first
Yeah.
to be attacked. It went
Because of
through
the age.
them. And that's what my boys were afraid of. And I said, no one. And still no one. Yeah. So I'm very proud
Yeah.
to live
But
here.
we
and-
still have, they're doing the wonderful things to prevent us from getting it. With their staff, they take their temperatures and they wash them. My poor cleaning gal comes in, I said, did you wash your hands before you come home? I think she's very intimidated by me, but they all are. What can I tell you?
Who isn't?
But in any event,
I have to tell you this. I was here before her. Remember, she came when I had been here for 1.5 years. And after Edward died, I worked in the
warehouse.
warehouse. I always call it the barn, but it's the warehouse. And I worked in the women's department and I loved it and, it was great. And I worked there for a long time. And then,
Then we worked together.
yeah, you were in the cards. And,
Yeah, I was doing the.
I don't remember how long I worked there, and I think it was when I hurt my back that I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't stand
Yeah.
for a long time.
Boy, did she get the clothes.
But new people were moving in all
Yeah.
the time. So, and I remember I used to kid with them, and I would say, if my husband wasn't ill, I would be up here. And when he died, they came and they said, "Are you ready?"
Yeah.
But I did. I went up and I worked there, and I enjoyed it very much. And I got so many bargains. Yes.
Yeah.
And I was thrilled. And now, why did I start this?
I don't know. But that is very well run. Who was that gal that was in charge for so long that passed away?
Oh,
She became very
yes, one of
But
them
boy,
passed away.
I marvel.
The other one is still.
I marvel at those people, how well organized to take all this stuff in, know how to categorize, put it in, and Really.
Oh, okay, I
Go ahead.
remember.
Your turn.
So anyway, I'm walking up to work one day, and I look, and there's a file cabinet, and they have it out in front. And I thought, ooh, I need that. You look at all those things over there. I needed that. So I said to him, ooh, how much is that? And he said, $10. I said, I want it. And I gave him the $10. And I said, I'm working next door. And I said, if you just leave it outside, my son is coming to visit me tonight, and he will bring it home for me. And they said, very good. So I went and I worked, and I went home, and Mark came. And I said, we have a little errand to do. And so we went up to get, and Mark, he said, what do you want this for now? I said, what did you say? I've got tons of things that need to be filed, and it's accumulating, and I don't have any place to put it. So I walked over, and there's a sign on the top of it. Sold, paid for, Stella Andrews' friend. Stella Andrews' friend. I said to my son, I've been working here for months. And I'm Stella Andrews' friend. I said, oh.
Sorry.
So
I think
then, Gunnar is a very good friend of mine too. We're buddies. And so he came in to visit me shortly after this. And whenever I would say anything about it, he'd say, hey, I had to live with her all my life. When he would always say, I had to put up with that. So I told him about this note, Stella Andrews' friend. And he said, please don't show her that note. It'll go right to her head. She will run this place.
He exaggerates. Rotten kid.
I saved that note for so long.
That's funny. That's
Yeah.
funny.
And I think we're out of time.
I wish I had a more exotic name. Who
Why?
knows?
What's wrong with Stella?
I don't know, but what was that name? My last daughter called Mary. She thinks my daughter Mary, I should have given her a name like Alexandria.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
She deserves. Her daughter is incredible. She's
Yeah.
she's
Well,
probably not faultless,
yeah.
but
Yes.
she can do anything. And she's like Darcy. You know,
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
have any daughters.
She's had a bad
so
year. Of course, she lost her
Oh,
husband. Had a bad
God,
year. Had a
she's
bad
had-
day. But
the
otherwise,
whole
everything's
family
fine.
has had a
Everything's
difficult
good
year.
now. And we're very, very fortunate to live here. We're very happy. Doris and I, we might kid each other, but from the heart, we really love
Yes,
each other.
we love one another very
Yes.
much. It's very obvious. But we are politically on different sides of the street.
And
but-
remember,
I told her a long time ago,
don't discuss
I've seen politics destroy
friendships.
friendships.
Yeah,
And I said, we have been friends for too long
yeah.
to let anything destroy it. So we will just not discuss
And
politics.
Lord, do I try, by the way. Do I try?
Don't ruin it now.
No,
Don't ruin it.
no. Would you pass me the thing? You know the thing. Oh, the nuts. Okay, thank you. Anyhow,
Give
nice
me
display, nice display.
one piece of life advice.
Life advice?
Yeah. So if you were going to give one piece of advice to someone that is in halftime as opposed to the fourth quarter.
Well, I really feel I have just started going back to the dining room. I have a nice table of friends. Lois, I always call her Ying Ying. I love that name. Ling Lang.
Yingling.
Ling Ling, yes. Sounds oriental.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought they were Chinese.
I did too. She knows that too. She's a wonderful person.
Yes,
She
is.
and Judy Albrecht. And whoever, we usually sit at a table of 6 and people may join us anytime.
And Judy is from Newton, Massachusetts,
Right.
which is where I grew
Yeah.
up.
That's a coincidence.
Yeah, that.
I
blew me
understand
away.
she makes beautiful doll houses and things. Oh, I have to go see that. But anyhow, and seeing other people that haven't seen me for a while because I haven't been down, they always ask what's with Doris, my right arm. I say, oh, Doris, she's entertaining in the apartment. What can I tell you? But
No,
no.
I have difficulty with noise.
Yeah.
I have super sensitive ears, and the people that live here know.
Yeah.
If one of the girls or the men, if they're operating, even the girls, when we used to have a rug and they would be vacuuming it. If I came around the corner, they would put off their vacuum because I had to cover my ears because it hurts them.
Yeah.
And I did look it up once, and there is a name for it. It's like an allergy, and I can't remember. I had it on my refrigerator for years. I thought people think I'm pretending. I'm not. If I walk around the corner and you frighten me, I used to scream.
Oh my goodness.
But now I jump. You know, I can't help it. And when I
It's
get out,
surprising because she comes from such a large family. You would think she'd be used to
oh, but they used to
Oh,
love.
they
I
teased her.
told you when I was a little kid, they used to jump out.
That's terrible.
And well, she makes it sound like my mother was my mother. You know, she had 9 children, and no one. It amused them. Oh, let's go scare Doris.
Of course.
But I didn't scream then. I used to, I'd go, and they would laugh. I had 2 brothers. You can imagine 2 older brothers. They loved to tease
She was
me.
so pretty as a kid and an old woman. I mean, as a young woman today.
Oh, I think you've had enough wine. When
No,
you
I
start
didn't.
calling me an old wine,
No,
I'm
I
not
didn't mean that word.
an old woman.
There was an old woman that lives in a shoe. But really, we are so content here. As you can see, we're very comfortable. I talk the way I talk. What can I tell you? We've lived many places. My husband and I, he was Marine, and we lived in many states. But of all the states we lived in, my favorite is Virginia. I think Virginia is wonderful. I would have lived there in a minute. But 4 seasons, not too long, not too harsh. It's really nice. That's why I'm going to wind up in Arlington with my eye on Washington, the evil eye. I'll keep them controlled even in my afterlife. Exactly. But in any event, no, I've been very blessed being here. Many good friends. I can't get over, and new people. A couple of nights ago, I met a couple of new people, and this couple was sitting alone at the next table, and I knew we'd be friends because they had a bottle of red wine on their table. And I can't remember that his name was Rick and hers was an R, and maybe it was Ruth. I don't know. They've only been here 3 weeks. Nice couple. They invited, would you like some wine? I said, no, thank you. I have to walk home. But in any event.
And Doris isn't with me to carry me.
No, Doris usually leads me home. And there are a few more people that are Marine Corps that moved here, so in unity there's strength. Wonderful people. But you know what, I get the biggest bang out of it. One time, Angelo Percivali was speaking at one of those speeches at the residents meeting, and he talked about how many veterans that lived here. So many Air Force, big number Army, Navy. He said the Marines only had 5 people. I said, that's all you need, Angelo. He said, I knew you would say that. But in any event, I do. I'm very happy here, and it's nice to have Doris. It's nice to have Doris a few doors down.
Oh.
It's even nice to have Richard Zink next door when we see him.
Thank you. I do.
He's a nice guy, yeah.
He is a nice man. Yes, he's a very nice man. And he's thoughtful, and
Yes.
I told him if you ever need a job, then you apply to Hallmark Cards.
Yeah, he writes nice letters.
Because he always sends a lovely card for any occasion, Valentine's Day, and it's beautiful. It's like the ones my sons send to me, and I think that's so wonderful for someone who's not a Marine.
But do you object? Do you object to Richard calling you Mom?
No, I don't.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. I'm kidding. But anyhow,
I
we
just
have-
look like his mom.
No, you don't. You're too young. There's a lot of great people. I must say, the quality of people too. Wonderful. Very impressive. I don't know about the new people coming into the towers. I'll have to break them in. Hello? But other than that, no. If everyone could be half as happy as we are and content and satisfied living here in Lakeview Terrace, they are blessed.
Good.
And safe.
Oh, absolutely
Now, I
safe.
told you about my aversion for noise. And when we lived in the villages, we had a thunderstorm, I've always had this since I was a little kid. But we had a thunderstorm, and it was 10 miles away. But the lightning hit our house, and I was out in the patio, and I had leaned down to pick up a weed, and I had gone out to fix the furnace just so it wouldn't blow away, and the lightning hit the house, and my hair went straight up in the air, and it was a crack. It's a wonder I just didn't faint, because it was painful.
Wow.
And I ran, and as I was running into the house, my husband was running out because he thought the house might be on fire because we were hit. You could tell. I couldn't tell, but he knew. And I was walking like this. It was terrible. I wouldn't speak to him for 2 days because he said, "Are you all right?" And I went, and he went out to see if the house was on fire. Well, I wouldn't speak to him
that's
for
so
2
typical.
days because I could hardly walk into the living room. And I found when he was telling somebody later, he said, "I made sure Doris was all right. And then I went out because I thought the house would be on fire." Well, see, I was angry because the house meant more to him than me, you know. I did apologize, but I did get
What a horrible
a new,
experience.
I wanted one of those, the windows, the leaded glass windows for the front door. And I wanted one of those very badly. And I was so angry, I went out and I ordered what I wanted.
There you go.
And they came and they put it in the next day. And I remember we were watching television, and I would turn, my chair turned, and I would turn and I would look at my door. Oh, I loved it so much. And then I'd turn around again and watch the TV. And finally he said, "Whatever you paid for that, it's worth it. Because you can't look at it without smiling."
Aw. Yeah.
And, but my advice, oh God, if you're lucky enough, if it weren't for my husband, in a million
That's
years
right.
I couldn't, well, I probably could afford it now, because
Well,
my
you wouldn't have
boys have
even
done
thought
very
of
well.
moving out here.
I wouldn't,
think.
no. Although my sister was down, that's why I came originally.
Yeah.
Well, my sister was here, but my children have done extremely well, and yes, they would. Now they could do it, but I couldn't. Now I raised them, and they all went to college, and that was my dream. And I told God, when I'm 70 years old, they'll be out of college, they'll have their lives set up, and then you can take me. When I got to be 70, I said, maybe a few more years. But my boys are wonderful, and they are kind, and they love me, and they pay attention to me and call me, and they're my life.
Yeah.
And it's all I need.
Very fortunate. The kids are doing well.
And to be able to, when my husband was dying, they called me when he was, because I told them I wanted to be with him. And I said, thank you for allowing me to live in such a magnificent place.
Yeah.
I would never have been able to do this on my own. And they told me that the last thing, when someone is dying, the hearing is the last thing to go. And that is true, because they would call me. Every time they thought he was going, they would call me, because I said I have to be with him. And I would go in and I would talk to him. And I'd say, Billy's up in heaven, and he's making tea time for you. And I would tell him, and I just talk. And one day the nurse started to laugh, and I said, what's funny? And she said, and he was like in a coma. And she said, every time you come in and talk to him, his numbers go up. And I said, so you think he can hear me? She said, oh, of course. And then I began to think maybe I'm keeping him alive because he certainly deserved to die. He suffered enough. And so I went in and I said, you know, I'm a strong girl. I raised my children. I'm not afraid of living alone. But in all my dreams, I never thought I would meet someone like you and that you would allow me to live in a place like this. And I thank you. And I hope he heard that. And I'm not saying that someone should marry someone so that they can let them live in. I had no idea that we could afford this.
But listen, kiddo, we have a few more years ahead. We might be partners in here. You want to live in my apartment or do we move here?
Not in
Oh, she's
10
poo.
million years. Stella's, what would I be? Your housekeeper?
No, she doesn't like the fact that I like to leave things open to air out.
Oh, dear Jesus.
I said, you can't close your closet door. It's got to air out. You'll get mold.
The first thing I do when I get out of bed is make my bed.
You?
And she said, no, I air my bed.
You gotta air it out.
She airs her medicine cabinet. She leaves the door open. And I said, no,
Yeah.
I make my bed as soon as I get up. And then when I walk back in the room, I'm happy. If I forget.
I don't go in my room, so what difference? Yeah,
No,
I'm just a fresh air.
we could never live together.
No.
For
But we
many
can drink
reasons.
together, and that's more important.
We what?
We can drink together, and that's more
No,
important.
well, geez, I
Yeah.
thought we were friends.
Yes, and sometimes I might be cooking something, and she just happens to come over. I'll say, well, I have enough for two, right? We sit down. Yeah, that's fun.
I don't cook.
I know.
I thaw.
Once in a while.
I
Well,
used to cook. That was what brought me.
Oh, I'm
Oh, my
beginning to
God.
miss cooking, believe it or not.
Oh, imagine my coming here having to do everything.
Yeah.
And I came in and they said, and you'll have a housekeeper. And if anything breaks, you call this. And I thought, oh my God,
You died in-
I'm in heaven. I died before Edward.
Yeah. But you know, I must say the food has gotten really better as the years have gone on. They made stuffed cabbage last week.
Oh yes, I have
That
it.
was pretty, and they served it with sour cream. Yes, you have to try it with sour cream.
Mm.
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't have it the second time. Yeah.
Oh,
No, I didn't, but that was good. I
was-
did it without.
I like to
sour
have
cream.
grits with sour cream. That's my beauty secret, sour cream.
No, I don't. I don't use sour cream.
Oh, it's very good. It's
and
healthy.
I don't think I've ever tasted a grit.
Really?
Just the name of it.
You don't like sour cream, Susan? You do,
I'm
yes.
laughing about the grit.
Yeah, but on
I
grits,
don't even know
that's-
what they are.
Well, Jin's, who's from Virginia originally, but she lived in Massachusetts, she was telling me one day of making grits with shrimp. I'm going, grits with shrimp?
Oh.
It's a southern dish, yes. I
You
want to
had it?
try that.
You
Where
had
can I-
grits.
I eat grits.
Where
I
can you
make
get it?
shrimp and grits.
How do you make
It's delicious.
Well, how do you make?
Okay, so ladies, say goodbye. Tell everyone you'll be back for volume 2 of Talk with Doris and Stella.
Yes, I'll have my recipes.
Okay?
Yes.
We'll be back soon,
I will
right?
be back. Just like, who was that said they shall return?
That was
Oh, MacArthur.
MacArthur.
Okay. Say goodbye, ladies.
Goodbye, ladies and men,
Goodbye,
gentlemen,
everybody.
and thank you, everyone, for that works here at LBT. You made us the way we are today. Tony, I love you.